This is Shelley Kraft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the second annual Growth Capital Expo Las Vegas 2015. I have with me Mr. Bill Howald, Rye Patch Gold Corp, publicly traded company. The symbols are RPM on the TSX Venture and RPMGF on the OTCQX. Bill, welcome to SNNLive.
Shelley, thanks so much for having me here. It's a great conference to be at.
Thank you very much. It's good to have you, and good to have you back. So let's get right into it. Let's get an overview on Rye Patch Gold.
Sure. Right now we're driving our Lincoln Hill project towards production. We've got a timeline outlined. We're working on towards a feasibility study that'll come out in the next 18 months. And in addition, we've got a little bit of a sexy exploration going on with our drilling down at the Cortez Trend. And as I always say, we're fully funded and we're driving and moving things forward.
So one of the key questions that I want to ask you is if there was one thing that differentiates you from other gold exploration companies, what would that be?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and one of the things that I think we're in an enviable position about is, we actually have a cash flowing royalty, and so because of that, we're able to fund all of our exploration and development opportunities that we're working on now, as well as put some money in the bank. So, we're different in the way that we can show progress without dilution.
So, we're in 2015, almost halfway. What do you think 2015, the rest of the year, and where do you see the company in 2016?
Well, at the end of 2015, we'll have a good handle on the Lincoln Hill project, if it's going to be a mine or not. As I said, we're working towards that feasibility study, but we're pretty confident in what we see so far that it's going to be one of Nevada's next mining operations. And at the end of 2016, we think we're going to hit the cycle just right. Right now, gold and silver are depressed. We're probably going to see that depressed market at least for another 6 months, and I think we'll come out into 2016, could be the year for gold and silver, along with we'll have a nice feasibility study done at Lincoln Hill, and the rest, advancing the rest of our exploration projects. So I'm quite confident that through this year and into next year, we're going to hit the sweet spot, and it's all going to be an exciting time.
So I'm a market guy because I come from Wall Street, right? And with all of these gold exploration stocks kind of being pounded, as they say, the juniors are underwater. So how do you, from that, so my market perspective is generally buy low and sell high. So in general, not just Rye Patch Gold, don't you think the market is way undervalued at this point?
Well, I think if people who follow the mining sector in general, whether it be a major or a mid-tier or even the junior companies, I think if you start to look at some of those companies, you'll see the smart money is starting to get in. And, people call that a contrarian trade, but it's the way to buy low and sell high.
Well, smart money is usually contrarian money in general, right?
That's right. So
let's say, in comparison to the larger mining companies that have been losing money hand over fist, but they've not been out searching and getting more resource properties. Isn't that an indication that also could be a generator of some other kind of profitability for juniors when the big producers need to buy smaller resource companies because they pulled their budgets on exploration because they were underwater too?
Well, that's exactly right. I had another life before I was in a microcap company, and I actually worked for one of the big three mining companies. And part of my duties at one point were to look at strategic planning for the company. And we used to make these 10-year plans, looking out, where gold price was going to be, how the operations were going to, the output they were going to have, what kind of gold output we would have on a year-to-year basis. And what happened every year that we did strategic planning is in years, somewhere between years 5 and 7, all the production fell off of a cliff, right? Because mines were closing, other production was just ramping up. So you always had this issue where you had to fill a big void to keep your production to go in a direction where your company was growing, right? And so I think that's a really good thing because, as you so eloquently put it, a lot of the large mining companies have started to, they've cut what they call a lot of their spending, right? So what's one of the biggest things they cut is exploration. And because of that, there's not a lot of exploration outside of, say, their actual mining activity or actual mines. And so they're going to need to fill that void coming up that they're looking at right now. And I think junior companies that have resources or things that are going into production are going to be sitting in, again, in what I think is a sweet spot.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rye Patch Gold's Bill Howald. He's going to give you a website for more information on Rye Patch, and that is?
It's www.ryepatchgold.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Howald, Rye Patch Gold Corp, publicly traded company. I'm going to give you two symbols, RPM on the TSX Venture, RPMGF on the OTCQX. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive. We're coming to you live from the second annual Growth Capital Expo in Las Vegas 2015. Bill, always a pleasure to see you.
Very nice. Thank you.